Hello everybody and welcome back to a new episode of Nitro Racing League here in NASCAR Heat 4. Today we start the season actually. So it's Daytona. It's the Daytona 200 is what it's called for today's race, but obviously first we have the duels, and there you see it was just a handful of people for the first duel. The second duel was for the go or go homers, but what you're seeing here is the stats basically from since I've joined the league. I just wanted to show you guys that real quick so you can pause the screen and see all the stats here. Basically I came in through in season 5, I think it was, and now we are going into season 8. Last season I missed the final 4, unfortunately, but we do have one championship. There you see my overall stats: 12 wins, 45 starts in 3 seasons, 33 top 5s, and 45 starts is pretty good to have. But we get right into stuff here for the first duel. The second duel was for the go or go homers, so we were in the top 10 in points last season, so we were locked in. So basically, wherever we finished in this duel was where we're going to start in the Daytona 200 here for today's episode. So it was a 10-lap race. We had to use the first lap to get lined up in our positions, and I'll show you guys basically the race length on how that's going to work after this duel. But we got started right behind our teammate of Andrew here. Obviously we're driving the 11 car, as you guys know if you watched the last episode in the Clash. Very excited to get the season going. I've come into the season with like a new kind of like look at things. I'm trying to care the least as possible with how things go. I'm just here to have a good time instead, because last season there was a few moments that really annoyed me because I felt like I was caring too much. So we come through though on lap 4 of 11 in this duel. It's a 10-lap duel because, like I said, we used the first lap to get lined up. So now as we come through, you saw that the 4 car was on my outside trying to make a move on myself and Andrew as we went down this back straightaway. But Smoke in the 2 car, he came through behind us to give us a big shot from behind, and we would stay out in front. But then on lap 6, Smoke would actually shoot to the top in that 2 car, and then he had help from the 4 as he went down into turns 3. So I'm just decided I'm just going to stay committed here to the back of Andrew and our teammate in the 19. And we came out of turn 4 just doing what I could to make sure we didn't leave that bottom. I didn't really want to leave this bottom here in this duel. As Andrew, though, he jumps up to the top, and then Smoke comes across into the side of me as we go through into the grass, spinning through the infield up into the outside wall. And that would bring out a caution here in the duel. We don't have any damage in this league because we tried damage in the last season for a handful of races, and it was absolutely terrible. So we decided to go away from that. But basically, whenever a car goes around with contact, a caution comes out. And if you don't go, if you're in a part of a crash but you don't actually fully go around or anything, go crashing, then you don't get sent to the back. But obviously I crashed, I was sent to the back here, so we would get right back into it here in the Daytona duel. So 4 laps remained at this point behind SHR Matt 10. Some of you guys know him, Matt Chaffee. He is on YouTube as well, so maybe check his channel out if you get an opportunity. I guess some people know him from Forza Motorsport, from like some of the stuff he makes with the paint booths. So certainly a very nice person, and he's certainly always very respectful on the track. So we know that we're going to get respect from him this season, hopefully. Now, Matt, if you're watching this, you better respect us. That'd be very appreciated. Now, as we come through at this point, 3 to go on the stage, we had sucked right up to the back of the 2 car, and obviously right back into the picture here with obviously our teammate Andrew still leading, and then we had the 4 up on the top trying to get that second position. I decided pretty much this whole duel to just stay on the bottom lane here as we go down this back straightaway. We got the 4, the 3, the 10, and the 42 on the top, and then the 3 of us here, the 11, myself, the 2, and then the 19 on this bottom lane. At this point, we were approaching just 2 laps to go here in the duel, but this inside lane would eventually prevail now as we came through out of turns 4. But at this point, I'm starting to think, well, maybe I want to try and make a move, because this duel, I didn't really care too much, so I was thinking, okay, we could try something here. As we came out of turn 4, approaching the final lap, we had the 42 of Christian behind us as we went down through this front straightaway. Approaching the final lap now, as white flag is out for the duel here in Daytona. Smoke just behind our teammate of Andrew. Now I was certainly thinking, when do I want to make my move at this point? Do I want to make a move and potentially give up a solid starting position for Daytona? I thought, of course I want to make a move, because I don't really care where we start in a plate track. So we go down this back straightaway. I gave them a little bit of a gap, and now we're going to shoot to the outside with help from behind from the 42. Side by side with the 2, Andrew, he goes up to block, and then he comes back down in front of the 2 of Smokers. We're side by side for the lead here as we go down through turn 3. I'm going to try to get down on the side draft if I can through turn 3 and turns 4. We go a little bit too far and make contact with the 2 of Smoke, and now up into the wall we went, but thankfully we keep it straight, and everyone's going to go right on past us here as we go down this front straightaway. And the 4 gets into the 3 as he's going to go into the grass of MJ as he hangs onto it, and we get P6 in the duel. Trying my best to get the victory there but it didn't quite work out, unfortunately for us now. So we would get P6, which means that's where we would be starting for the Daytona 200. So Andrew, he's starting on the pole here, as it's Matt in P7, and obviously, like I said, the second duel decided kind of the starting positions from 8th on back, I believe, unless Karma, he might have been up there in the top 7. He was part of the second duel, seeing what happened, I think. But either way, obviously, not a great result for us. But here we go. This is actually the amount of drivers for the for the actual race here in the Daytona 200. 16 people. We're going to be starting P6, and there's the Daytona 200 race length. Stage 1, 20 laps. Stage 2, 20 laps. Final stage, 40 laps, so 80 laps total. So we get right into things here, getting ready to go green. I should mention that we take a lap to obviously get lined up, which means that stage 1 actually ends when we hit lap 22. So the checkered will be once we cross the line and hit lap 22. As the green flag, though, is out, and we are underway for the brand new Nitro season. Andrew and Smoke on that front row. Not a great start already for the 2-car. And I should also mention stage 2 will probably be the checkered on once we hit lap 42 to take that lap to get going again. And then the checkered flag should be when we hit lap 82, if I'm not mistaken. So now we got Jay behind us here on this opening lap here in Daytona. Obviously, you guys know him, one of my moderators and good friends as we go down this back straightaway. Snakebite Racing, another good friend and moderator in this league. Unfortunately, he was kicked out in the Go Homers race. So we're going to look for him next week in Atlanta to hopefully make it. I think we got a race next week. I'll have to make sure we do. And as we go down through turns 3 and turns 4, obviously, this opening lap, running this top lane, the 42 is leading this top lane. The 4-car is swerving a little bit there as we go down this front straightaway. Everyone trying to get used to holding the line, but staying on this top, we would end up drifting backwards. There's the 3 of MJ had actually gotten into the wall here on lap 3. So a bit of a moment there as we all, thankfully, though, keep it straight and continue on our way at this point here on this 4th lap. Like I said, it's an 80-lap race. It says 200 because they just jumped the race length up in case of overtime and whatnot. So obviously overtime certainly does happen sometimes in this league, and we're definitely going to have to keep an eye out for that. But once again, we would continue moving our way back forwards as we got down to this bottom lane, actually hitting that little bump there on the exit of turn 4, where we got to the inside of the 41, who we had a bit of a issue with there in the clash, but he raced me pretty clean in this one, so I was very happy racing with him now as we would continue on this inside lane, passing the 12 there of Demon Savior Sean. Now as we went down into turns 1, behind us we had our Joe Gibbs Racing teammate of Karma, and then obviously in front of us our affiliate teammate of Jay as the 4 shot up the track there into turn 3 on lap 8, and he would get out of lane, so we would continue on this bottom. It was a lot of just running in a line at this point in the race. So it was Andrew first, affiliate teammate of Jay in second, and then myself third. Karma, he was coming through to get up into P4. So things were looking pretty well at this point. We came out of turn 2, though, on lap 10. I decided we're going to try and make a move and see what happens. No one went with me. I obviously wanted to experiment with it. That was a big complaint from people in this race, that no one was making a move and just riding in a line. And then when it was time to make a move, no one did make a move. So certainly interesting now as we came through turns 3. So obviously we fell back quite a bit down to P8 at this point as I had gotten shuffled out of line. But we had been running in a bit of a single file line, getting ready to actually make pit stops right here in Daytona as we came out of turn 4. There was very mixed communications among the JGR crew, so I didn't know what was going on, and that completely destroyed me for the pit stop because we speed into the pit lane because I saw Jay, he was leaving the pit lane. Boxer, or Andrew, he had actually committed to coming in, then he decided to not come in, and then didn't look like Karma was coming in, then he did come in, so I was all over the place. I ended up coming in, speeding unfortunately, but I wasn't the only one nailed with a speeding penalty, but certainly we're going to have to keep that in mind because we definitely have more green flag pit stops on the way. But we would get linked up though with the 2 of Smoke and other drivers. Obviously, like I said, a lot of drivers got dinged there for speeding penalties, so we actually didn't really lose a lot of ground. Everyone got kind of separated. Like I said though, the checkered for the stage would be at lap 22. Once we crossed the line completing lap 21, we would complete the stage because we obviously needed that lap at the start of the race to get everyone lined up in their position. So we had gotten hooked up with Boxer. We would run down the 41 and we would go around him on the outside. Smoke had stuck with us at this point, and at Karma, he was all by himself out in front actually, as I believe Christian was with him, but he ran out of fuel or something like that, or he had to pay, either one, but he had fuel issues if I'm not mistaken. But we come through now to the final lap of the stage here on lap 21, and now my fuel light's on, but Karma, like I said, our JGR teammate, all by himself, and myself, Andrew, Smoke behind us in the 41, we're all closing in on him very quick on this final lap of the stage, running P3. The top 5 in the standings, I should mention, only get points here in the stages. I forgot to mention that. now as we go down this back straightaway. Karma is just a sitting duck at this point. Myself and Andrew closing in on him very quickly. Karma, he drops down to the bottom. I'm committed to where Andrew goes at this point. He goes up top with myself as we come through turn 3. Karma, he looked like he wanted to try and defend for a moment, but he couldn't quite do it. Now is Smoke in the 41. Stick with Karma as we go down this front straightaway, but Andrew and myself have such a good run that we come through. Andrew wins the stage. We get P2, Karma 3rd, and then the 2 and the 41 round out 4th and 5th. And like I said, 1st through 5th get stage points here in this league. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video, but I'll leave a pinned comment or something for you guys to keep that in mind. So we get 4 points here in the first stage, so a very solid start here for the season. Andrew, though, obviously gets a playoff point. We would come to the pit lane at the end of the stage and get right back into the action, though, here for the start of Stage 2. We had actually lined up in P6 for the start of Stage 2 after the pit stops, and like I said, we get going on lap 24, and the checkered flag would be once lap 41 ends here for Stage 2, and once we hit lap 42. So now pushing Smoke as we go down towards turns 1. Matt Chaffee leading the way as he went down into turns 1 in front of the 41, so 2 SHR cars leading that front inside lane. Now is Karma being the teammate he is. He let me down in front of him as we go down this back straightaway. There was a lot of JGR working together. I felt like as a team, JGR, we worked together the best, as well as with our affiliate of Jay. The 18 car was in this race too. He was having some struggles in stage 1, but we had a bit of a checkup there as he went through turn 3 now on lap 24. And there's issues behind, and someone got put in the wall, and now it's going to cause a crash. Someone goes spinning. It looks like maybe the 14 into the inside wall, and that would actually bring out a caution. It took a minute for everyone to actually bring out the yellow, because we have this thing where the driver has to call out that it's a car with contact. Took a minute for that message to get received to us or get communicated, but they ended up calling it in turns 1, so we got the caution and we get ready to go back racing here, as we do have manual cautions and restarts in this league. Certainly one of the things I enjoy the most, but actually I decided to come back to the pit lane here at this point and then put 4 tires on the car, come back out and see what we could make happen. We would restart all the way down in P13 for this one, so we gave up a lot of positions. Now as a green flag, we would get back going here for the green flag. Now is Jay on the outside. We have a bunch of JGR team drivers here. Obviously Jay the affiliate, Karma, and then the 18 as well behind us now as we go down towards turns 1. Obviously Andrew was somewhere up in front of the field at this point as we came through down into turns 1. Everyone all over the place on these restarts. So actually, no, Andrew, he wasn't at the front. He was right there in front of us. I didn't even notice him now as we sit behind the 42 of Christian, the 18 of Rocket, restart 86, a good teammate of ours as well, up on the outside behind Andrew and Karma. But thankfully we didn't lose the draft there as we had the 14 behind us now as we came through down into turn 3. At this point it was the 12 of Sean leading the way. He's actually the owner of the league in the Cup Series now as we come through out of turns 4. At this point I decided to stick with Karma and Jay up on this outside lane as we came through down into turns 1, and on the exit of turn 2 the 12's in the wall, and he actually turns down in front of Jay, and he's going to crash Jay. He's going to crash myself as a caution, is going to end up coming out from that there. As you saw, the 12 was in the wall, and the way this game works, you really have to tug on the wheel to get it off the wall, so I think that's really what just happened, and unfortunately he just came back down into traffic. We got involved in that incident, and obviously we'll get back going here on lap 30. So almost halfway through this race we get down right behind Karma, as Jay didn't have the greatest restart from the looks of it as we go down towards turns 1. So that's the first incident we've been a part of in this race. Hopefully the last one, as everyone's stacking up here on this restart. People were just kind of all over the place at this point, but we would continue through on lap 32. Now the 00, he got taken out in turns 3, so that would bring out another caution there as we came through at a turns 4 in front of Matt Chaffee. So obviously all of a sudden we go green all of stage 1, and now we get 2 quick cautions here in the Daytona 200. So certainly unfortunate, but this is helpful with fuel. So once again, we would get back going, this time from P8. Jay just behind us, a big gap there on the bottom as Matt did not have a very good restart, so I dropped down behind the 41, and Jay's going to follow me through as we go down into turns 1. There you see Sean leading that outside lane as we get a little bit of a tap from the 95 of Jay as we come through the center of the corner on the inside of the 14 car at this point as we exit turn 2. At this point, not many laps to go here in this second stage, about, 6 or 7 or so, I think it was now, as we're on the inside of the 48 of Juicy Product, or we used to call him Harambe. That used to be his old gamer tag. As we come through turn 3 though, MJ with the 3, not a lot of speed there on that outside lane, as the outside struggled a lot on speed in this race, and you certainly saw it right there, how much that outside struggles now as we came through down this front straightaway. We will continue in this line behind the 41. Demon and Sean just behind us actually caught me a little bit off guard, as he was being really aggressive on the entrance of corners. If he saw a hole that was just barely enough to fit a car in there, even with contact, he would certainly make that opportunity work, and he was able to get past us now as we came through. Jay thankfully was behind me, so he let me back in line, as everyone was just running in a single file line at this point, which was making things very, very boring. And then Jay, he got pushed out of line behind from the 4, so then Jay obviously got messed over here for the end of this second stage. Very unfortunate for him. I wanted to go up and help him, but I knew if I did, I was going to go backwards with him now as we came through. At this point, Karma up to the top with Andrew. We were approaching the final lap of the stage at this point here as we cross the line. So 6 laps of field, obviously not going to be an issue now as we go down towards turns 1. So like I said, this is the final lap. Once we hit lap 42, the green-white checkered would be displayed. Right now we are holding on to 2 points. Like I said, top 5 in the stage gets points in this league. So I was trying to maybe think about making a move, but I decided we're just going to maybe stick behind Demon. I was kind of thinking I was going to do whatever he did, because I felt like we would have help from the 4, but Demon looked like he was pretty content with just riding, so I decided, well, if I make a move, probably no one else is going to go, so I decided we're just going to ride behind them through turns 3 and turns 4, and at least guarantee us 2 points at the end of the stage as we came out of turn 4. Heading down the front straightaway, Andrew, he won stage 1 or whatever, and now he's going to come through to win stage 2 as well, with Karma, our teammate, in second, and we come through to get P4, and obviously the 4 got 5th, I think it was now, as we end stage 2. So we've accumulated, what, 6 points total so far here in the first 2 stages, so very solid for us. Now, as we would get ready to go green for the 3rd and final stage, we would come back into the pit lane, do 4 tires on the car. I was supposed to be putting the tire pressures up, but I kept forgetting to do that. I did put them up a little bit, but not like I should have. But we would exit our pit box and come out a little bit there behind Andrew and actually beat Karma off the pit lane. Sean comes out in front of Andrew, so P5 here, P4, sorry, come out. So a very decent starting position to start stage 3 here in the Daytona 200. So we get back underway. Christian in the 42 leads away, the only driver in this race for Chip Ganassi Racing. I believe he does have a teammate, but he didn't show up for this race now, as we're going to push Sean down the front straightaway. But thankfully, 18, our teammate, lets me in, and then Karma has a chance to get in behind us. A little bit of contact he made there with someone, and they were actually having some issues behind us. I'm not sure if they crashed or not. Now as we came through turns 1 though, the 42 still leading over Andrew now, as there's certainly a little bit of issues going on in the back of the field. Who knows what's going on back there right now, as we would stick with Andrew though, and the 42 would continue leading this point. At this point we had 18, Rocket, our teammate, behind us. So I decided we're going to try to make a move here on the outside. I don't really care if it was a teammate in front of me or not. We want to see what we can do. Thankfully Rocket, he decides he's going to help me, but no one else decided to do what they all wanted to ride in the line, as we actually got hit by the 4 car into the wall there as we came through turn 3, as he moved up the track just a little bit into the side of me, and unfortunately we made contact as well with the 20 of our teammate of Karma, but thankfully we kept it straight and got back in the draft there as we came through, riding behind Karma. He had actually hit the 3 this time, and they had gotten together, him and the 00, all running into each other behind us, and someone, I believe, was going to call a caution. No, maybe they kept it straight now as we came through turns 1 there. You see the 48 up on the outside, so we actually did keep it green now as we were coming through to pass Jay on the inside down this back straightaway. So at the back of the field, it's so dangerous. Everyone likes to run into each other, but this time they would call a caution for something. I don't actually know what in the world happened, but they did decide to call a caution through turn 3, but I guess there was some type of incident. So we would get back going once again here in Daytona. At this point, just barely over 30 laps remain here on this 3rd and final stage. So still quite a bit of time left, obviously, to make stuff happen. I mean, in the way this league works, you come to Daytona, 16 people, I mean, 3 laps, so there's plenty of time to make something happen. So obviously, not really trying to be too aggressive at this point. At this point, though, it was the 4 car leading the way. That the 14 gets clear of me, I decided maybe I could jump down to the bottom, but I wanted to at least try and help my affiliate teammate of Jay in the 95 on this outside. So I decided to stick it out on the outside here for a minute. The 2 and the 42 side by side in front of us. The 48 gives a big shot to the back of Christian there in the 42. Jay, he gets to my inside. He actually told me to get down in front of him, but I decided, I was like, no, you go by. I wanted to see what I can do up top here, as that was one thing, the teammates were being great here in this race to me. They were obviously willing to let me down, and I was trying to repay the favor as much as I could. Now, as you would get down, though, in front of Sean in the 12, and then I decided I would at least try to let Smoke down. I was telling him over the Xbox party chat that you can come down, but I don't think he actually heard me when I was calling that out, so he stayed on the outside. As obviously I left that gap for him, and then I tried to let the 18 in, but I decided, okay, we're going so fast that I did not have a chance to. But he thankfully would get in behind me. Now as we would actually jump up to the outside here on lap 53 to try and help Karma, but the 12 gets way up the track into the side of the 19 of Andrew, and we all make contact. 19 down to the apron. We're all over the place. We hang on to it as we go down this back straightaway, thankfully, but obviously we would end up losing the draft. Behind us we had Joe in the 00, who was very kind to let me back in, and we would get up into this kind of like a 4-car group with Joe, myself, the 19 of Andrew, and our other teammate of Karma in the 20. So we had about 3 JGR cars in this little 4-car group. So thankfully we would actually be able to all link up and run down that same pack up ahead. So it wasn't the end of the world. The 18, our other teammate Jay, I think they might have been ahead of us. I couldn't remember at this point, but it was still the 4-car leading the way as we went down towards the turns 1 on this front straightaway there. The 18 was actually up ahead of us. He was actually dropping back, if I remember correctly, maybe to help us or something. But either way, we would run down this pack of cars, and there you see the 42 of Christian on the far outside. There are 2 teammates of ours jumping up to the outside, so I'm going to follow through. We're going to jump up in front of the 42 and get into this battle, as well as there's still the 4 leading and just in front of the 12 of Sean as we went down towards turns 1. So seeing what we can truly do potentially on this outside lane. It looked like Sean, he wanted to jump to the top, but ended up staying back on that bottom there as we have Andrew just in front of us, and then we got our teammate of the 18 of Rocket coming through to help us down the back straightaway. So plenty of help we had on this outside. This was really the first time I felt like that we had a good amount of help, as there was a bit of a leg spike right there as we came through the corner, or through the triangle, sorry, and the 41 had actually gotten spun out or something behind us. It looked like, no, he actually saved us, so it was a very good save from him as he went down towards turns 1. So thankfully we would stay green. That was just a weird lag moment there as we came through the triangle, and then I think I actually lagged on the Rocket's screen. He had actually stayed over party chat, and I ended up putting him in the wall because of that, unfortunately. But either way, the 3 JGR cars somehow have found their way up to the front here down this back straightaway, so we all migrate to that bottom lane. I kind of felt bad leaving the 42 of Christian out, but I just had to go with my teammates in that situation there, as now it's a 4 right on our back bumpers at this point. So Karma out front, Andrew, and then myself. So JGR 1, 2, 3 currently in this race, as we were now with less than 20 laps to go. You see the fuel icon on your screen, so now we had to come through to the pit lane. Our teammate Rocket just behind us, so it was JGR 1, 2, 3, 4 at this point as we came through, now heading down into the pit lane for green flag pit stop, probably the final ones of this race. Now as you see, actually Andrew got lunged into the pit lane, as it looked like, I guess on his screen someone hit him. It might have been me, but on my screen it was pretty clear we didn't even get near him. Now as we would actually exit the pit lane, and you're wondering, where in the world is everybody? So apparently there was actually in the pit lane, the game caused a crash in the pit lane, and everyone's trying to figure out what in the world happened, and we ended up calling a caution for that because we did count it as obviously a crash. Like there was 4 or 5 cars, I think, that had actually crashed in the pit lane simply due to the game causing it, no one else. So we would actually come back to the pit lane under that caution for 2 cans of fuel or 4 tires and get back going here from P6 now with a little bit, what I think was 13, 14 laps to go or something like that at this point. And I believe we had just barely enough fuel to get to the end of this race as we go down towards turns 1. It was not a good launch for myself. I believe Rocket was actually trying to let me in line, but I had a terrible launch on that restart, so I didn't even get a chance. Now this 00 and myself make a little bit of contact going down this back straightaway, but thankfully we keep it clean now just behind the 4. Now is the 48. Oh, a little bit of leg there though from the 4 car, but thankfully nothing went wrong as we have Karma on our inside. He's just on that bottom. Everyone's on the bottom at this point. I was just going backwards along with Joe and the 00 behind us, so very unfortunate. Now as Andrew would come through, the 41 was coming through as well down this front straightaway. So we go from, you know what, P6 all the way to the back here as we let Joe go by in the 00, and then we get right down in behind him here within approaching the final 10 laps at this point. Thankfully we would barely hold on to the draft, so we would continue our move back forward. We had actually climbed up to P9, still running this bottom lane. There you see Sean in the 12 up ahead. Now as we go down, I was trying to make sure he couldn't slide down in front of me and lose my speed, so thankfully we got past him as we go down towards turns 3. Still running behind Jay at this point now, lap 74, just under 10 laps to go, about 8 to go I think it was at this point. Now it looked like something was going on behind us. Now is the 19, the 18, the 95 and myself, we all decided we're going to go up to the top here and see if we can make something work. Jay actually got into the wall, so that slowed up the momentum a little bit that we had built up now, and now the 18 gets it put into the wall by the 2, two of Smoke, who had actually drifted up the track just a little bit, and unfortunately they made contact, so I decided to get back down on the bottom at this point. I was trying to let Jay back in. I created that hole for him to get down in front of me, and sure enough, it would slide down. Thankfully, no one behind us was trying to run us over. Now as we go down towards turns 1, Jay builds up a hole now for the 19 of our other teammate of Andrew to get down, and then the 00 gets to my outside. He made contact with Jay, and then that put Karma in the wall, and then the 00 got in the wall or something too, so a little bit of calamity happening at this point. But we come to lap 76 now, still running behind Jay and Andrew. Once again, we tried to make this outside lane work here as we had a pretty good run, and then we had our teammate of Rocket and the 18 who had actually gotten up to the outside as well, hoping that we could get Karma back into the picture. Now as we came through at the turns 2, just connected to the back bumper there of Jay in the Barstool Sports paint scheme. Now as you see, it's the 14, the 48, the 2, and the 41 all on the bottom, as well as the 3 of MJ and the 42 of Christian as we go down towards turns 3. And then thankfully we had 4 cars at the minimum up here. I think we had actually maybe gotten 5 at one point. Now as we came out of turn 4, but you can just see right here the outside lane wasn't quite working. And then the 2 and the 19 got together. Then Jay gets hit, and then I get put in the wall. Jay goes spinning into the outside wall, and that brings out a caution here with about 5 laps to go. So this is going to set up for a very late race restart here in the Daytona 200 for the first race of the regular season. So obviously I decided to stay out here. It was a bit of a mixed strategy. The 12 comes in, the 18 of Rocket comes in, I stay out, and unfortunately we're set up on the outside, so I already knew I was in trouble for this potentially final restart. But we would get back going under green for potentially the final time. At this point, the checkered flag would wave once we hit lap 82, so obviously we got 79 here, 80, and then 81, so 3 laps at this point remained here in the Daytona 200 on this outside lane. I knew I was in trouble, but thankfully we would be able to hopefully get down to that bottom, because there you see the 12 of Sean had something go wrong there, maybe some lag from the 4, but that allowed me to get to the bottom in front of him. Karma had a big run as well, so he got to the bottom right behind me. So we had 2 JDR cars right here linked up that hopefully we would be able to get to Andrew and maybe create something. Andrew obviously just a little bit in front of us there in front of the Ford car as we came through turns 3 and turns 4, approaching at this point 2 laps to go here in the Daytona 200. We would obviously pass these cars on the outside, and then Smoke had gotten pushed out to the outside, but no one really wanted to go to the top at this point. Unfortunately, everyone was just kind of riding in a line. Like I said, everyone was complaining about riding in a line, but no one wanted to make a move when we needed to. So we come through now. Andrew, he decides to jump up to the top. You see me drift over thinking about it, but then I look behind me, no one else is going, so I decided we just got to try and set something up here for the final lap here. So I decided to try and create a bit of a hole here approaching this final lap for Andrew to get down in front of us, so we can have at least 3 JGR cars linked up, so I know at least 3 of us will be willing to make the move to the outside. I kind of figured at this point approaching the final lap that if we make the move to the outside, no one else is going with us, so it's pretty much a lost cause, but we decided we might as well go for it anyways. There you see Andrew, he shoots to the top, I go with him, and Karma goes with me, but we just didn't have the momentum. I felt like we made that move a little bit too early. Now as we come through turns 1 and 2 on this final lap here, it's the 14 leading, and then it's the 41 second, the 4 in third, so the SHR trio at this point. Matt Chaffee a little bit behind us now as the 42 of Christian goes by, the 00 of Joe goes by. I had a chance to actually get down in front of Chaffee there on the back straightaway, but I decided I would rather stick with my teammates. I knew I was giving up positions making this move to the outside, but I didn't want to leave my teammates hanging at this point. Now as we came through out of turns 4 heading down this front straightaway, going to be a very disappointing end here for our first race of the regular season. As we come through behind Karma, it's going to be P11 here in the Daytona 200, and it was actually the 14 car who brought home the victory. So very unfortunate. I knew, like I said, when we made that move to the outside of the final lap, that I was probably going to go backwards. So that's unfortunately what happened. There's 18's crashing me slam right to the side of him as we come through on this cool down lap. But it's a 14 with the win. So as always, though, if you guys did enjoy this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I definitely will be showing the rest of this season if I can. So the next one is, I believe, Atlanta. I'm pretty sure I'll have to check the schedule. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. So thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day.